From the MLB Players Trust Gala, this is Roy Kessel for Sports Philanthropy Network, and we're excited to have with us today special guest Nick from LearnFresh is with us, and he's going to tell us about their program. So Nick, we appreciate you taking time out of this great event to share your story with us.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here to talk about our work and the awesome collaboration that we have with the Players Trust.
So before you start about the work that you're doing, give everybody a little bit of your background and how you got into this space.
For sure. So I'm CEO and co-founder of LearnFresh. I started my career in education, focused on music education actually, and that was the real passion point for me when I was growing up. And when I joined the founding team of LearnFresh, I was really driven to pursue this work because I saw the connection point between the work that we're doing to inspire interest and enthusiasm in STEM and the passion that I had for music growing up. And I wanted to be able to bring that same sort of connection and enthusiasm into the STEM space through another love of mine, sports.
Well, it's so important when you talk about STEM, you talk about sports, you talk about education. One of the things we see is that it's really hard to keep kids engaged in education. Explain how LearnFresh helps with that.
LearnFresh programs are focused on game-based learning that infuses sports and entertainment into students' education, particularly in the STEM space. And so our first program is an initiative called NBA Math Hoops that teaches math through the game of basketball, working with NBA and WNBA players. Our second program, which we're beginning to scale in connection with the Players Trust, is called MLB Players STEM League. We launched it in 2022, and now we're reaching over 25,000 students annually across the U.S. and internationally.
And how did you come about this? How did LearnFresh get started?
Yeah, so we had an incredible founding team. One of the team members was a man named Tim Scheidt, who was a math educator based in San Diego, California. And he actually built the board games in his own class starting in the late 90s as a way to engage his own students. One of the things that I love most about our story is that the curricula at the heart of our programs are created by classroom teachers. And then, the rest of our founding team had connections in education entrepreneurship, in sports. One of our founding team members was a former executive at the NBA. And so we've worked collaboratively to build a network of kind of influence in the professional sports space to help leverage, brands that kids care about for positive good.
So LearnFresh is based where?
The organization is based in Philadelphia. That's our headquarters, but we have team members all across the country, and we're working across all 6 inhabited continents right now. So we're truly a global organization in scope.
So talk a little bit about, when you look at it, it doesn't happen overnight to get access to organizations like the Players Trust, like the NBA. That's a great accomplishment for any nonprofit. So talk about how you were able to take this concept and scale it.
Well, slow and steady, I think, is a big part of it. Building trust is something that you need to do when you're working with brands that have a lot on the line when they align with any sort of initiative, right? And so when we launched our basketball program, the first place we did it was in Cleveland with the Cavaliers and about 500 students and 30 educators in Ohio. And that was 12 years ago. We were really intentional to embed ourselves in the community, learn what worked about the program model, and then just slowly and steadily over the last 12 years, we scaled up the basketball work, then launched the baseball program, and now we have a third initiative with Major League Soccer called STEM Goals and focuses on the intersection of STEM and soccer.
So you said you were an educator. What gave you the idea that this was going to be a great opportunity to take that? Because, somebody that loves sports, I would have loved learning education and STEM concepts through sports, much more than I liked learning them without sports. So what gave you that idea?
Well, similar to what you just said, when I was a kid, I learned my math through the back of my baseball cards playing on my floor in my bedroom, you know what I mean? So when I saw the bones of what we could build out of this, it resonated immediately because I had this experience when I was a kid. And similar to what we had, I just wanted to create an opportunity for kids to access this at scale, right? Like not every teacher is going to introduce this, math, science to students in this way inherently. And so we're the motivator for that. We create the resources that provide the spark for the educator and their students.
And so when you look at that, I remember, as you said, you learned from the back of baseball cards, right? That was a great thing. Hitting average, all of the other things like that, your batting average. I remember learning from, I could count in 3s and 7s really easily from football, right? And I think that it's so fascinating to see how kids are able to learn things and how much differently that impact is. Talk a little bit about the differences that you've seen around the world, because you said you're now on 6 continents.
Yeah, so the first thing that I'll just share is, in addition to the math and science component, the programs focus a lot on team building. And a lot of the skills that students would work on the field or on the court, they're present in the programs too. Whenever kids play, they're always playing in teams of 2. They draft their teams collaboratively. Like, it really works on some of the things that students experience in that competitive environment. And so one of the things that we've found as we've scaled the program is, surprisingly, like, students all over the world have reacted to our curricula and the games in the same way. And I mean that really genuinely. We've launched the basketball program in Paris and in Johannesburg, South Africa, and Melbourne, Australia, the baseball programs across Latin America, in Japan and Korea now. And whenever a student sits down to play the game, it feels the same in all those places. And I think that's one of the really magical things about Tim's work in creating these products. He's given us a tool to be able to reach kids all over the world in a really unique and common way. And so I think that we feel a tremendous amount of responsibility for that. Like, we think that we have a truly global opportunity here, and we want to pursue it.
Well, you talked about kids learning all over the world, right? One of the things that I think is, well, I think that's one of the things that's important that you hear is that breaks down the barriers, right? It breaks down the barriers, and it really makes a big difference in what's going on. And so I think that as you look at that, talk about what is on the horizon for the organization.
Yeah, so the idea of breaking down those barriers culturally, I think, is really central to how we think about it. I in a world in which, we sometimes feel increasingly divided, it's a real opportunity for us to engage kids and show them that, whether you're in Japan or you're in Australia or you're in South Africa, you can have a really similar experience, and you have some of the same interests and desires, right? And so we want to leverage that for good. And in terms of what's on the horizon, we're being really intentional with international growth. We're taking the process of growth slowly in each market, whether it be in Australia or France or wherever else, and we're trying to learn kind of the cultural, educational context of each location. And then, as we grow, we'll continue to expand out across Europe and across Africa and in different places where there's opportunity for us.
So one of the things that's interesting is how you plan to scale, and then follow up with how Sports Philanthropy Network and our audience and our members can join in and support your effort.
Yeah, so scale is definitely place-based, right? I mean, we have a global vision, but we need to go location by location. And so as your network continues to learn about what we do, we welcome anyone who has an interest in engaging students meaningfully in STEM education to join our team, to help us enter new markets, to help us learn about new cultures and contexts. And that's not just on the global scale too. Here in the U.S., we work individually with athletes on a community by community level. Harrison Barnes, who's one of our supporters on the NBA side, helps to support our work in Ames, Iowa, right? And so we're really interested in building intentional local connections in all the places that we work.
So I know that you had a chance to fill out one of these cards for our Wall of Philanthropy. Tell us what you picked and why that was your choice.
Yeah, so I picked I'm creating impact for K-12 students worldwide. And I'm doing that because they're the future of our world. I mean, I think when you think about how you can spend your time as an adult, one of the most meaningful ways is by supporting education, because you're helping to lay the groundwork for the generations to come. So I'm proud to do this work and thankful for the team that we have that's making it happen.
Well, fantastic. Go ahead and stick it right up there. And we're going to have everybody put their cards up there tonight. Thank you for making time to join us, so we appreciate that, and we look forward to seeing how else we can collaborate with you.
Awesome. Thank you, Roy.
For Sports Philanthropy Network, this is Roy Kessel signing off from the Players Trust. Please remember to live generously.